What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcomes of KSI versus Swarmz and KSI versus Luis Alcaraz Pineda. And I believe both these bouts are scheduled on paper as to be 6-rounders, but I'm pretty sure the fight versus Swarmz might be a 3-rounder. But nonetheless, this fight is going to be broadcasted on DAZN pay-per-view. Both fights are in the cruiserweight division, and this fight is coming from the O2 Arena in London, England, or actually both these fights are coming from the O2 Arena in London, England. So yeah, just again to all the fighters' resumes. I mean, KSI, his actual name is Olajide Olatunji. He's 1-0 in the professional ranks, no knockouts. He's currently not ranked by BoxRec due to inactivity since his last fight and only fight was in 2019. And as most of you guys know, he got that split decision victory over fellow YouTuber Logan Paul in an actual professional bout on DAZN. But before that, he did have 2 amateur fights fighting another YouTuber named Joe Weller, stopping him, and then having a draw against Logan Paul in their first fight, which was also an amateur bout. But, yeah, I mean, he doesn't really have that much experience in the boxing game. He just fought YouTubers, and, yeah, tonight he is taking on an actual professional fighter, but one that you would expect to be like a sort of stay busy fight that's just an easy win for like a real professionally ranked fighter. But to get into his first opponent's resume, Swarmz, his real name is Brandon Scott. He is a rapper from England. KSI is also from England as well. His boxing record is obviously 0-0 with no knockouts. He has no boxing experience, not ranked by BoxRec, nothing. He hasn't fought ever, so I mean, this should be a pretty easy fight for him. Or it should be a pretty easy fight for KSI. But to get into the last opponent's resume, Luis Alcaraz Pineda, fighting out of Mexico, holds a professional record of 2 wins with 5 losses, no wins by knockout. He's actually currently ranked by BoxRec as he's the 1,447th ranked fighter by BoxRec, but this is in the super welterweight division, so he's not even ranked at cruiserweight. His last couple fights have been at 160, 154, like around there. But I think he's just fighting at his just natural walk-around weight, which I think is like around 180 pounds, if I'm correct. But KSI, I think, is also around there because he slimmed down since his fight in 2019 against Logan Paul. But yeah, to get into Pineda's resume, I mean, he does have some real fight, or he does have all real fights against just fighters in his native Mexico, as all of his losses, or almost all of his losses, have come by knockout. He lost by knockout to Misael Cabrera Urias. He lost by knockout to Roland Jeffrey Membreno. He lost by knockout to Josue Garcia. He lost by knockout to Adrian Torres Rodriguez. And he also lost by unanimous decision to Marcos Rios Gonzalez. But to list some of his best victories, his first win came by unanimous decision over a guy in his debut that was named Pablo Pum Leal. And his second ever win came by unanimous decision over a fighter who was 0-5 at the time, named Jose Adolfo Caro. So in my opinion, these fights are just very, very odd. This is one of the most odd fight cards I've ever seen in my life. I mean, maybe if you would expect to see someone putting on like a showcase where they fight 2 fights in one night, that might be expected for like a Canelo Alvarez, like doing some exhibitions for like charity or something. Like maybe just a fighter who's in retirement, like a Julio Cesar Chavez, like we've seen him fight like on cards before, like in a little exhibition. We might expect him to have like 2 fights in one night for something fun or something like that. But you would expect it to be a real fighter to be given this opportunity. I mean, this is a YouTuber who's fought. I mean, I know you could say, oh, he had a pro fight, but it was against another YouTuber. I mean, yeah, this is just a very odd card. I mean, I'm obviously going to watch it because, I mean, it's just very interesting. I just want to see how things play out on this card. I mean, it's been pretty built up in the UK. I mean, and there's some real boxing promoters obviously promoting this fight card, and they're just sort of confused at like the trash talk because it's obviously all that like schoolyard stuff that you would hear at the playground. I mean, it's just very odd. Yeah, I mean, the whole card is featured YouTubers besides the main event, which has that guy Pineda, who's an actual fighter, who has actually fought in the professional ranks. But yeah, I mean, this is just such an odd card. But just again to my predictions for both these fights, I think that in the first fight between KSI and Swarmz, I think it just should be easy for KSI. Being that KSI has trained in boxing for a little bit, I mean, he's trained vigorously probably for a few years, because he had a friend named Vidal Riley, who's an actual boxer in the cruiserweight division. He's a very solid fighter, prospect coming up. So, yeah, I mean, he was training with him. He was his trainer. I don't know who his trainer is now. Who his trainer is now, I'm pretty sure he split from him, but obviously they're still good friends, I think. But, yeah, I think that in the fight versus Swarmz, since Swarmz as a rapper has no boxing experience at all, and he said this, he has no boxing experience at all. It's written down everywhere. I mean, that he thinks he's going to win without any experience. I mean, I just think that KSI is going to destroy him. And I think he'll stop him anywhere from rounds 1 to like rounds 2. I mean, if this is a 3-rounder, it's going to be in the first 2 rounds probably. I mean, if it's a 6-rounder, I mean, might stop him in the first 3. Somewhere around there, I think KSI will get the stoppage win. Most likely from like rounds 1 to rounds 2. I think KSI will just like beat him up. Just really, Swarmz will be a punching bag. Nonetheless, I think he'll stop him, maybe knock him out, whatever. From rounds 1 to rounds 3, he'll get that knockout victory over Swarmz. So yeah, I just think he'll stop him, nonetheless. But as for the second fight between KSI and Luis Alcaraz Pineda, obviously that is the main event. The Swarmz fight is the first fight on the card, so KSI has some time to rest because obviously it's 2 fights in one night. But yeah, I think this fight will be much, much tougher. I mean, if this is a 6-rounder, which I think it is, I think it will go the distance. I mean, Pineda has fought professional fighters and gone the distance. I mean, once, in his loss. But he also has 2 fights where he went the distance and won. So, yeah, I just think that KSI, although he's a YouTuber, I just think that he's just much more composed than Pineda. Pineda, from what I've seen, actually has a very, very awkward style. And some of these Mexican fighters who have, like, losing records could be some of the toughest. Like, I've seen some very, very good level Mexican prospects have very tough times with some of these sort of known as journeymen in the ring that just sort of have that awkward style, very lengthy, very just plain awkward, and it could give them a very tough time. So being that KSI doesn't really have much experience against like actual fighters, I think that Pineda could maybe give KSI a decent test. Really in the UK, they're trying to build up KSI like the next Jake Paul, and that's definitely working. I mean, he's basically exactly like Jake Paul, but just in the UK. Got a lot of subscribers, very popular, and now he's just fighting in the boxing ring. So, I mean, they're just building him up like Jake Paul, I'm pretty sure. So, I think in this Pineda fight, I think Pineda will give KSI a decently tough time. I've seen Pineda's open workout, and that's like about it. I saw like 1 or 2 amateur fights of his. He has a very odd style. He throws very sort of weird, lengthy uppercuts that leaves his chin wide open. He's very sloppy, but nonetheless, he just seems very, very awkward, and I think that's going to give KSI some problems because obviously he hasn't faced someone like that, that has that sort of very odd style. So yeah, I think that KSI will just be, I guess you could say, more composed in there. I just think that considering he's been training with some decent guys, I think he'll just have much more of a, I guess you could say just, I don't know, I mean, I just think he'll just fight better. He'll just be more technical than Pineda. Pineda's just going to go out there, I'm pretty sure, come forward and really try and throw the bigger and better punches on KSI and just be awkward in there. Just utilize his awkward style and just win rounds. And I think that Pineda might be able to edge maybe 2 rounds in this fight if it's a 6-rounder. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a fight between 2 halves. I don't think one fighter is going to get tired, the other fighter is going to capitalize. I think it's just going to be like KSI wins 2 rounds, then Pineda might edge 1. KSI might win another 2, then the last round might go to Pineda. Like, I mean, it might be something like that. But I think that KSI will just show that he's improved in the boxing ring, considering that he's a YouTuber. He'll show that maybe he has what it takes to challenge other big YouTubers in the boxing ring, whatever. But, yeah, I just think that he'll be just landing the better shots than Pineda. And considering this is in the UK and it's just being built up so much that he's got to win this fight, and that he's supposed to be moving on to taking on guys like Jake Paul, whatever, for big money. I mean, I think that they'll just give it to KSI, even if it's like a close fight in that it's a clear like 57-57, like a draw. I think they'll still give it to KSI, obviously. But I think that Pineda, with his awkward style, will be able to edge maybe 2 rounds, maybe 1 round on the judges' scorecards. And I think that KSI will win the rest, just landing the better shots from the outside, from mid-range maybe. Just being the better technician, I guess you could say, in the ring. Even though this fight isn't that high level, it's still being broadcasted across the globe. Very big fight. And like I said, it's on pay-per-view, which I think is insane. I don't think any hardcore boxing fan is buying this fight to watch it. I mean, yeah, it's very, very insane how this is a pay-per-view fight. But, I mean, I think the reason why it is pay-per-view is because it is targeted towards, like, kids and teens, like, my age that are following these YouTubers. Like, they ask their parents, hey, can I watch this fight? My favorite YouTuber, blah, 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 is fighting. Then they put it on for them, whatever. Or that it's targeting towards that sort of, like, casual fan that's watched only, like, Joshua, watched only, like, Wilder vs. Fury, you know? Like, just sort of that casual fan who watches boxing here and there. Like, might have watched Jake, or might have watched the Jake Paul fights. He might have watched the Logan Paul vs. KSI fight, whatever. Like, it might be something like that. But I don't really think that any hardcore boxing fan, or even any hardcore boxing YouTube channel, has covered this fight at all. I think I'm the only one. But, yeah, I think this will be a very odd boxing card, as I mentioned before. I don't completely endorse it. I'm not really much of a fan of when these YouTubers go into these fights. But, I mean, it's just a very odd card, as I mentioned many times in this video. So, nonetheless, I think that this will be a very good showing for KSI in front of his home country. And I think that he will get both victories in this fight. So, overall, I believe that KSI will go 2-0 in the O2 Arena tonight. I think he will get a early knockout victory over Swarmz. And I think that he will get a clear unanimous decision victory over Luis Alcaraz Pineda. And I think that the judges will score the bout between KSI and Pineda like 59-55, somewhere around like a 58-56 maybe once, but most likely somewhere around a 59-55, like twice on 2 judges' scorecards, and then like 58-56 once, all in favor of KSI to get both of his wins on both of his wins in these exhibition fights that are broadcasted on pay-per-view, that are being very, very promoted in the UK. It's just a very, very big event for KSI, and I think that he will go 2-0 like I mentioned before. And again, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.